couldn't help but notice that a lot of young Muslims today think that this black thing inside the silver frame is the black stone, while that is the opposite of true. Because what you're really looking at inside there isn't the black stone at all. In fact, it's just a waxy material that was made by the Saudi government not long ago, and they have buried inside it 8 tiny fragments of the original thing. Yes, just 8 small pieces. So where did the original black stone go? What happened to the 1 meter tall stone of Prophet Ibrahim that once stood there? The truth is, it hasn't existed for centuries, and this should be common knowledge. I don't know why even Muslims today don't know this information. That's why in this video I'm gonna take you on a journey from how the original 1 meter tall black stone began to how it ended up like this, 8 tiny fragments. Trust me, you will never look at it the same way again. Around 1900 BCE, Prophet Ibrahim arrived in the valley of Becca. It was a barren, quiet land. There, God commanded him to raise the foundation of the sacred house, what we know now as the Kaaba. And with it came the rituals of worship. One of them is circling around the Kaaba 7 times while calling upon Allah. But there was a problem. How would a pilgrim know where to start and end each circle? How will he count? He needs a starting mark to be able to count. So Prophet Ibrahim, peace and blessing be upon him, turned to his son Ismail. Find a stone, he said, something that is unique, something that stands out from the other stones. So Ismail searched far and wide, but nothing he found was worthy. When he returned empty-handed, he discovered something miraculous. A 1 meter tall black stone already placed by his father in the corner of the Kaaba. A divine gift from Allah himself. The stone became the marker, a signpost where every pilgrimage circle begins and ends. From that moment, the black stone wasn't just a rock. It became a symbol of divine intervention, a guidance of beginnings. But now, we have to fast forward to the part that will change how you see the stone forever. Around 1600 BCE, this valley of Becca was now under the control of a tribe called Jurhum. But this wasn't a golden age for Becca because this was a time when crime ran rampant. And morality was collapsing. Adultery was very common, shockingly, even inside the Kaaba itself. Yes, inside the sacred house. One famous story, the case of Isaf and Naila, is still talked about today. If you've never heard about it, you can Google it, but I will warn you, it's not what you expect in a holy place. Anyway, they ruled Becca until around 100 CE, and their time was up, because a rival tribe called Khuza'a launched a battle to reclaim the holy house from them. Sensing defeat, the Jurhum leader called Amr ibn al-Harith made a very drastic move. He decided to remove the black stone from the Kaaba and bury it deep underground, hoping that they wouldn't find it. But after the dust settled, the new Khuza'a leader, Amr ibn Lu'ay, discovered the hidden black stone that was buried underground and returned it to its place. But wait, before you get the wrong idea, this guy wasn't the hero of the story. In fact, he's remembered as the first man to introduce idol worship to the Kaaba. He placed statues around the house of Allah, turning a house that was built to worship one God into a shrine for many. Do you know the names of these statues? You've read their names in the Quran a lot. If you know them, pause the video and write them in the comments. They are Wad, Suwa', Yaghuth, Ya'uq, and Nasra. And he didn't stop at idols, by the way. He actually added a cross too because, why not? Anyway, between 100 and 400 CE, idol worship evolved into more than just a belief system. It became a big business. Think of it as the ancient version of a booming tourism industry. The Kaaba in Becca, it was drawing in crowds, rituals, and most importantly, money. So naturally, many Arab tribes thought, why don't we open a branch? Those tribes across the regions began to build their own versions of the Kaaba, complete with their own black stones, idols, and yes, they also put crosses because why not? Historical estimations mention that there were up to 23 different Kaabas, each claiming to be the original one that was built by Prophet Ibrahim, and each one of them had its own black stone. Some even went so far to dig a nearby well and call it the Well of Zamzam, to complete the package. It became a spiritual franchising corporation. By the way, here is a little linguistic tip for you. If you're reading an Arabic history book and you came across the word Kaaba in it, it might be referring to any of those fake replicas. But when you read the word Al-Kaaba with Al in the beginning, that's different. That always refers to the original one, not the replicas. And how was the original one distinguished from the rest? Simple. The incident of Al-Fil, described in Surah Al-Fil in the Quran, was the moment that made it undeniably clear which Kaaba god was protecting and which are fake. If you don't know that story, Google it because it's really meaningful. Anyway, between 100 and 400 CE, a man called Qusay ibn Kilab rose to power and placed the tribe of Quraysh in control of the entire city of Mecca and with it, of course, the Kaaba. They stayed in power until a fire broke in the year 606 CE. Because of this fire, the Kaaba was very badly damaged, its structure was weakened and it was falling apart. The leader of Quraysh made a bold decision. They decided to tear down the Kaaba completely and rebuild it. But there was a catch. The new design didn't match the original one built by Prophet Ibrahim. See this incomplete part, the semicircular wall beside the Kaaba? That was the original foundation extended, but it was left out since the reconstruction by the Qurayshi tribe. And now comes the real drama. When it was time to put back the black stone in its place in the Kaaba, a major problem arose. Every tribe wanted the owner to do it. Tension rose, tempers flared. It was about to turn violent until someone had an idea. Let's choose a judge that we all trust, and he decides who gets the honor to put the stone in. And guess who it was? No, really guess. Pause the video and write it down in the comment before you continue. Exactly. His name was Muhammad ibn Abdullah, peace and blessing be upon him. That was before he was prophet. He was known to all of them as As-Sadiq Al-Amin, the truthful, the trustworthy. So normally they would choose him because he's the only man who everyone trusts from every tribe. And his solution? Genius. He placed the stone on a large piece of cloth and asked one representative from each tribe to lift it together. Then once it reached the Kaaba, he himself placed it gently in its corner. Crisis averted, respect maintained and unity preserved. And every tribe got the honor of participation. And no one could argue with his judgment because it came from the man that everyone agrees that he is As-Sadiq Al-Amin. In the year 683 CE, during a turbulent period in the Islamic history, tragedy struck again. An army led by Al-Husayn ibn Numayr led siege to Mecca. And yes, they even attacked the Kaaba itself with a catapult. The sacred structure was bombarded and destroyed. In the aftermath, Abdullah ibn Zubayr, one of the Prophet's companions and a very respected leader, took it upon himself to rebuild the Kaaba from the ground up. But when it was time to return the black stone to its place, he made a very shocking discovery. The stone, once a solid 1 meter long, was cracked into 3 pieces. It was no longer whole. So to protect it, Ibn Zubayr crafted a silver frame to hold it together. But in year 692 CE, history repeated itself again painfully. This time, it was Al-Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi, one of the most feared military commanders of his time. He invaded Mecca, and like before, he didn't hesitate to use a catapult again to attack the Kaaba itself. The sacred structure once more reduced into rubble. And after the war ended, Alhamdulillah, he oversaw its reconstruction, another restoration. Then came 929 CE, arguably the darkest year in the whole history of the Black Stone. An extremist sect called Al-Qaramita led by Abu Tahir al-Qurmuti, invaded Mecca. They stormed the sacred mosque, slaughtering worshippers, mercilessly, men, women, children, everyone. Historians estimate that around 30,000 lives were taken that day. Blood soaked the floors of the holiest place on earth. Then Abu Tahir did the unthinkable. He approached the Kaaba, ripped the black stone from its place, held his sword to the sky and mockingly shouted, Allah, where is your punishment? Allah, where is your wrath? As he tore the black stone away, fragments of it, small fragments, fell on the ground. Then after he left with his army, the Muslims rushed to this location to collect the small shattered pieces that was left of the black stone. They desperately tried to save as much as they could. Abu Tahir took the black stone to a place called Ain al-Ku'ayba. You can find it now in eastern Arabia. There he declared this place as the new holy site. He told people all over Arabia to abandon Mecca, and from now on they should do their pilgrimage to his version instead. The black stone would not return to Mecca for another 22 years. 22 years of longing, of absence, of heartbreak. Muslims at that time continued to do pilgrimage in Mecca normally, and they would wave to the location of the black stone instead of the black stone itself. As its value is symbolic anyway, Muslims are still worshipping God, not worshipping a stone or the Kaaba itself. Even when the Kaaba was completely destroyed, they will still go to the same location and do the pilgrimage and pray to Allah while waving to the location that should have been the location of the black stone. In the year 950 CE, the tribe of Al-Qaramita finally agreed to give back the black stone. The one responsible for taking the black stone back was called Abdullah ibn Uqayl. He told them, I am here to make sure that I am taking the original black stone back, not a fake alternative. The original black stone, he said, floats on water and isn't affected by heat, meaning if you put it on water it doesn't sink and it feels cold even if it's left over fire. By the way, Sheikh Ibn Kathir labeled this hadith as gharib. Also a historian of that time known as Muhammad ibn Nafi', he recorded his description of what was remaining from the black stone after he saw it when it was returning to the Kaaba. He said, I saw a stone that is white from 3 sides and black only from 1 side. The side that is facing out to the people is black, and the 3 other sides that go inside the Kaaba, they are white. But the sad part is, he recorded that the size of the stone, or let's say what is remaining of the black stone when they put it back, was 1 zira'. 1 zira' is about 45 centimeters, which is a huge difference from the original 1 meter height stone from the time of Ibrahim. Not only that, even this small 45 centimeters part, it had numerous cracks in it. It wasn't in good shape. He also reported seeing the small pieces that they collected before, remember? And that is not the worst part, because after that, in the year 973 CE, a man entered the holy mosque, a place of peace, devotion and prayer, but his intentions were anything but sacred. He was a Christian disguising himself as a Muslim. He approached the Kaaba raising a pickaxe, and he struck the black stone. A loud crack echoed through it. He lifted his arm and struck it again, and kept striking it until a man from Yemen witnessed this horror, acted without hesitation to stop him, and the attacker was killed on the spot. But the black stone was damaged, but not lost. Once again it survived. That's until the year 1022 CE, when 10 knights arrived from Egypt. One of them marched towards the Kaaba, stood before the black stone and began striking it with a tool in his hand. With every blow, he shouted, Muhammad, you cannot stop me from destroying this stone. He kept shouting and striking again and again and again. Eventually, they were stopped and they were killed. But the damage was already done. Fragments of the black stone has shattered and fallen on the ground once more. Muslims gathered every piece they could find and they mixed them with red gum and some misk, and they carefully pressed them against whatever was left from the stone itself. They preserved what they could with their hands and their hearts and their love until the year 1550 CE, which was very unfortunate because the mighty Ottoman Sultan Sulayman al-Qanuni purposely took 5 fragments from the black stone and sent it to Istanbul. Imagine, he placed 4 of them inside a mosque and he placed the 5th part of the black stone on his own grave. Very sad, I know. And then in 1582 CE, a man from Iraq came and hit the black stone with a very hard tool, causing yet another scar on the stone that had already endured centuries of attacks, cracks, and heartbreak. Then in 1603 CE, under the rule of Sultan Ahmad al-Awwal, the walls of the Kaaba had begun to crack, age, time, and weather taking their toll. He chose to restore the structure rather than rebuilding it completely, but it was a bad decision. Because in 1630 CE, the Kaaba couldn't withstand it anymore. Heavy rain caused the walls to weaken and collapse, and the sacred structure was completely destroyed. That's when Sultan Murad al-Rabi' ordered 4 engineers from Egypt to travel to Mecca and rebuild the Kaaba from the ground up. The famous historian Ibn Allan witnessed the reconstruction process and recorded his own description of whatever he saw remaining of the black stone. Let's read his description. He said, "The outer facing side of the stone is black, but all the other sides are white. But the sad part is, he noted that the height of the stone was half a zira, that is 22.5 centimeters, and its width is only 1/3 of a dhira, that is about 15 centimeters, around this big. And he also reported seeing 15 small pieces, the largest of which was only the size of a date. They placed whatever was left of the main stone into the Kaaba, then carefully mixed all of the small fragments with red gum and gently laid them over it, preserving every last piece they had. But in 1907 CE, Ibrahim Rifat Pasha visited the Kaaba and documented what he saw in his book Mir'at al-Haramain. He recorded that there were 15 visible pieces of the black stone embedded into red gum. But in 1932, another tragedy struck. A man from Afghanistan attacked the black stone with a heavy tool, broke off pieces and stole it. He also cut pieces from the cloth of the Kaaba and he also stole it and took it with him. This incident led King Abdulaziz Al Saud to take action. He ordered a chemist to create the wax-like material we see today around the black stone. They placed the broken pieces inside it, then used the material to secure and seal the entire area, protecting what is remaining of the most sacred stone on earth. Then in 1956, the historian Muhammad Tahir al-Qurdi closely examined the black stone and drew this diagram. This diagram shows the remaining visible fragments embedded in this wax-like material. His drawing revealed the shocking truth. Only 8 pieces were left. For thousands of years, the black stone stood not as a monument of perfection, no, but as a symbol of resilience. It's been attacked, broken, burned, stolen, and repaired again and again and again. What was once a single 1-meter stone is now a small piece, along with 8 small fragments that are held together in a wax-like material. But despite everything, it still sits in the same corner of the Kaaba, where the Prophet Ibrahim himself placed it with his own hands. Peace and blessing be upon him. Pilgrims from every corner of the earth still raise their hands towards it, still weep beside it, and still long to touch it. May Allah grant us all the honor of visiting His sacred house, of standing before the Kaaba with hearts full of awe and gazing upon the black stone with eyes that understands its story and its pain. All the historical details in this video are sourced from the respected history professor, Dr. Mahmoud Salim. I took my time to translate and narrate his work because recently some Christians and Islamophobes have been spreading the claim that Muslims are worshipping the Kaaba and the Black Stone. Can you imagine? This video refutes all of those misconceptions with history, logic, and truth. But before you click there to watch it, take a moment to support this effort. Your likes, your comments, your shares help spread our da'wah to those who need it the most. Not just Muslims, by the way. Anyone who sincerely seeks the truth. Jazakumullah khairan. See you in this video and Assalamu alaikum.